Hello, class. Today we are going to cover the topic of SME, which stands for Small and Medium Enterprises. Also, we are going to talk about the term SME, which is Manufacturing Small and Medium Companies. Here we are going to discuss some of the important details about these companies in the country and why are they so important in an economy. Let's go with the introduction first so that we can talk a little of an SME is and why are they so important in a country. It says it's the small and medium enterprises. They are the backbone of industrial development. Procomer says SMEs contributes nearly 8% in GDP, 40% in manufacturing output, and 45% in exports in a year in this country. They provide the largest share of employment after agriculture. They have emerged as a dynamic and vibrant sector of economy. You have to understand that SMEs is what in Spanish we call a pyme. Las pymes are very important because we give employment to many more people with all the SMEs combined than the larger companies. For example, if you open up a bakery near your house and so you need assistance, you hire someone to help you, and then you start growing, you need more people, and then you're not enough. You need someone else to help you. So people around you get the benefit of a job because you opened an SME. Otherwise, they would have to either travel far away from home to get a job, or they simply couldn't get a job because the conditions are different. Many people who work for SMEs are moms, dads, and they cannot work a full time. They cannot travel large distances to go far away and get a job like the ones are common in industrial areas. So, if, for example, you need assistance, but only in the mornings, if you're a bakery, people go to your shop to buy bread in the morning. You need a lot of assistance because someone is baking, someone is the cashier, and then someone is given all the products. And if you have something extra, like a small place for people to eat, or you have the cold cameras, for example, you need more assistance. And you don't necessarily might need that assistance the whole day. Probably you just need them in the morning and in the afternoon. So you can hire someone for those period of time. They can work few hours, get the money they need. They didn't have to travel far, and it's a win-win situation. You win because you get the aid you needed. You need the person to be there just a few hours a day, two times a day, and the other person gets the benefit that he or she did not have to travel long distances. They were able to work short periods of time so they could come back home and do their things or go pick up the children or go take care of their grandma or grandpa. They can continue with their lives and still they have a job. They couldn't have possibly done that if they were working for a large company. So the SMEs are only beneficial to communities. They're more than beneficial to communities. And so that's why it's very important to track them down and trying to assist them. It says here they are widely dispersed across the country and produce a diverse range of product and service. It helps in the growth of a country. They are the nursery for entrepreneurship and innovation. If, for example, you try and think of five different SMEs in the community or in your province, you might be thinking, okay, the bakery is one. I know of someone who has these, like the example I always give you, the scents candles, scented candles. So someone creates scented candles and they're going to distribute it along in the community or in a Facebook page. Number three, Nowadays, people are creating a lot of products related to the sickness that we have all around the world. So they're creating masks. Some are creating stickers for your bump car. Some are creating clothes that are special for protecting. The SMEs are particularly important because whatever idea you may think of, people can create and they give employment to other people. We're going to see a little from the starts of the SMEs. Remember, MSME stands for Manufacturing Small and Medium Enterprises. So SMEs and MSMEs is what we're talking about, small companies. They were based on Gandhi model, which we will not explain a lot because it's a different topic. Despite numerous protection and policy measures, manufacturing SMEs have remained mostly small and technologically behind. Particularly because they're so small, they don't really have the assets or they don't really have the capital to go and invest in large numbers. And sometimes they just work the way they always did it before. So they mostly need training. Some of them can get assistance from companies like EMAS. EMAS is one that has a sort of agreement with INA, and they both work together to give training to a lot of people. They give them the facility to get equipments. For example, I know some students from night shift from another high school that at that time they were being trained by IMAS and INA, and they were both learning how to create these large bread factories. So they were being trained and they were given the equipment. And after a while, they were able to establish their own place, and therefore they could grow with their families and give employment to the area. Now let's go in numbers and let's see what an SME is. And it says the category. If we're going to talk about manufacturing SMEs, then we are saying that it is a small manufacturing SME if the sales range from 300,000 to less than 15 millions, or which this is the number that is most common, from 5 to 75 employees. Remember, this is manufacturing, okay, from 5 to less than 75. Now, if we're talking about services, which is a different story, a small SME is when they go from 5 to 30. Again, manufacturing SMEs is when they go from 5 to 75 and services from 5 to 30. Okay? The medium ones, manufacturing, we're talking from 75 to 200 and in services from 30 to 75. Now, there are also some that are smaller than a small company. Okay? Again, there are some companies that are so small, they're not small, they're micro. So, a micro enterprise generally refers to a small business employing 5 people or less. I would say like one, two, or maximum three. Because from 3 to 5, there. From 5 to 75, we're talking about small. So when you're talking about a micro company, you're talking about very few people. Okay? It is an enterprise in which investments in plant and machinery is very low. There's a typo there. The investments are very low. It means there are not necessary equipment, there's not a lot of money to invest. So we are creating these candles by ourselves. We are probably doing it in a equipment that we purchased or sometimes in the stove of the house because there's not a factory itself and it's less than 5 people working on it. These enterprises work, there's a typo, and operate, no S, not by choice, but out of necessity. So we do not find a job. It's very hard to work. No one can give us a job, and the situation is very serious. So we decide to start selling our own food. I know my sister cooks delicious, so I'm going to make her create some lunches and I am going to make publicity on Facebook and I am going to deliver it myself out of necessity. Okay, most of the micro companies start that way. That doesn't mean they have to stay that way, but mostly they start because of a necessity. And sometimes I tell my students that always think of a problem like the way to think outside the box. If you have a job and you always have it easy, you're not going to think of other ways to do stuff because you have it easy. You already have a job, you have your money, you know how to do your role, so you don't really think about how else to do things. What else would you be doing? So, people who do not have it easy and face difficult situations, they're thinking, how do I feed my family? How do I pay my bills? How do I pay this mortgage? Oh, I know. I can do this and this and this out of necessity. It's an opportunity. And they will think and they will create and they will come up with ideas that will help them solve the situation, either temporary or permanent. And most of them grow out of a necessity and they grow and they grow into small and then medium and then they can involve more people. This was the micro. Now let's go to the small enterprise. The small enterprise generally refers to a business employing from 5, 6 to 25 people. Let me see the number I put here. We're talking about services. Yeah, 5, 30, 5, 25. It is an enterprise in which investments in plants and machinery are growing. I have several typos here. It says the investments are growing, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's large. Okay. I can tell you, I prepare lunches and I deliver them door to door. That will be a micro. And I invest more and I prepare my own stove for this, or I purchase a large table for preparing them. I am investing, but it doesn't mean it's a large investment, okay? It just means I am investing. Mhm. These companies work and operate to earn a small amount of profit. Now remember, there's a typo here. Uh, R, this is R, okay, just in case it's a typo. Medium enterprises. Medium enterprises refer to a business employing maximum 100 employees. It is an enterprise in which investment in plant and machinery is now considered important. Their loans are more considerable. Remember, the term loans is when you go to a bank and ask for money. So the loans are more considerable. These enterprises work and operate to earn a fair amount of profits to increase their standard of living. Here we have the three of them compared. Micro, less than 5, small from 5 to 10, medium from 30 to 75, and it all varies. And I would tell you to please go to this chart. Okay, go to that chart for numbers. I also show ahead another one, but you'll see it later. Okay. What are the features of these type of companies? They have greater flexibility. They have low cost of production, high capacity to innovate, exports, high employment generation, and reduction of regional imbalance. They're very good for communities. Now, in Costa Rica, let's talk about the role of SMEs or pymes as we know them in Spanish in Costa Rica. They are employment generators. They increase the production. They contribute to exports and they increase the gross domestic product. Just few of the examples of how good SMEs are in our culture and in our company. After this chaos we have in economy, it is a good bet to bet on SMEs because larger companies reduced personnel, they reduced their payroll, and many people right now are now thinking, what should I do next? So these type of companies, if we encourage them, it might be a, let's say, a good thing out of the problem. They will actually think that they will give employment to people. They will reactivate our economies. So it's a good thing. It's never a good thing that something bad happened. But let's try and make a good thing out of this. If the small companies grow out of this crisis, it means we are going in the good way. If we encourage them, if we allow them to take permissions, if they go to the Ministry of Health and they get permissions, if they go to Hacienda and they are able to enroll themselves in the system, if they're able to go to the municipalidades and they're able to get their permissions, they will generate jobs for the provinces and the communities they are located in. So that is why it's so important that we do not depend on the larger companies 100%. You also have to create jobs in the community. You have to activate your small communities so that we can make the whole country contribute and work faster. And then we're going to raise our economy. Let's go take a look at the problems of the manufacturing SMEs or MSMEs. Financial problem. The credit facility is only up to 30%. Why? Because you need to give something in return. If you go to a bank and you say, I would like to have a 30 million colones loan, you need to give something in return. Like, what if you don't pay? Do we lose the money? No, ma'am. The bank does not lose money. So you have to think of a way what to give in return. Now, if you are an SME or an MSME, they would probably make some studies. They will try and have a cash flow from your company, a projected cash flow, analyze your van, analyze your TIR, and try and understand what is it you want to do with this money. Is your company worth it? Can we give you the money? Are you a good investment for us and our money? And most of the companies, since I told you, they are not naive. We'll say they're starting. So most of them do not have the proper documentation to go and request for a loan, so they will do it other ways. For example, um, let me make my own example with my name. Natalia Serrano has a small company, but Natalia Serrano went to a bank and she was told that in order to get a loan for her small company and her idea, well, she needed to present a lot of documents that she will probably have to pay for in order to get them. And she doesn't understand really what those documents are. So she decides to go get a personal loan instead because it's faster and it's the only way she can get a loan in order to start. Now, what happens with those two loans? It might be the same money, but the conditions are different and the interest rate is also different. Personal loans have higher rates because you're not given anything in return. So I am paying more um, interest rates every single month. I am paying a higher monthly payment than if I were getting the other loan, the loan that requested all that documentation. But because many people do not know that, they don't really know how to get those papers, they go the easy way, which ends up being the most expensive way. So they have a financial problem. Who gives them money without asking too many questions? What we used to call in the past las financieras, what we used to call in the past these le presta, right? Which are hard. They are almost impossible to pay. And then you have collectors behind you every single time. So many companies and many ideas sink because they do not have financial assistance. Their idea is good, but listen, they're doing this project because they are unemployed. They're doing this project because they don't have a job. They're doing this project because either they eat or they pay for the electricity. And then you come and tell them they have to pay to get all this type of papers and they walk out unassisted. They walk out of the bank unassisted without any help, any they find themselves cornered. So of course they go to these companies, they don't ask too many questions, they give them the money and then they cannot pay. Right? They need assistance. They need a hand by hand assistance. Another problem that these companies have are that raw material sometimes doesn't come easy. It might be cheap or finding the raw material is hard. It depends on the idea that you have. I always use the scented candles idea because I used to create candles and I used to put like cinnamon scented flavor and stuff to this project I had. It was more of a hobby. So I always used that example and they do not come cheap. In order for me to do that, I had to invest a lot of money, but it was my hobby. So I have all the materials. But if I had to leave from it and I had to make a living out of it, it would be hard, right? The raw materials not only are not cheap, but and they're also hard to find. Luckily, here in Cartago, we have the best place for this because there's a company in La Lima that offers all these products. But if I were in Avangares, it will be harder for me to find the material I need. Okay, all right. Technological problems. We also have to mention that. Unfortunately, not every home has a computer. Not every home has internet, and not many users are computer savvy, which means not necessarily everybody knows how to use a computer. Not to mention equipment, right? I'm just saying computer stuff like electronic devices. Now, when it comes to big machines, for example, if you want to make a t shirt, you need a big machine and you need to invest a certain amount of money to do that. And you need money, you need to know how to use it, you need some sort of training in order to create your small business if you're talking about t-shirts and jars and mugs and stuff. Marketing strategies. If you are in a large company, of course you have marketing teams, you have people who work for that and they breathe marketing. But if you're home and you're trying and create an idea and make it a company, it is not likely to have a member of the family dedicated 100% exclusively to marketing strategies. Everybody helps. Everybody involved in the idea is going to help create this system and this marketing strategies and Facebook ads, and whoever is more savvy with technology will try and do and assist. Now, there are several ways to improve all these weaknesses found, but it all depends on the idea and the type of people working on it. If you're working out of necessity, I don't think you would just go on knocking doors and see who can train you and what available options are. Just throw yourself into the idea because you need the money, you need the income to start making decisions and to start paying bills at work or at home. Technology update. Surveys to improve their service or product. Talent acquisition. Involve the entire company. Interaction with research and development sector. Hmm? There are many ideas, and also, as I mentioned, IMAS and INA had this agreement in which you can go and get some sort of trainings, but in time, right? It's not like right away. It's not like you go and knock on their door and then tomorrow you'll get the training. It doesn't work like that. Now let's go and see some of the contributions and performance of MSMEs. They produce more combined than, another typo here, than large companies do. 10% of the exports of this country are thanks to the MSMEs. 45% goes to industrial production, so not necessarily just the candles. We're talking about industrial productions and their manufacturing SMEs. Millions of employments in the country. I would say thousands of them now that the crisis has hit the countries. We're going to go and see some of the information. These are in Spanish because I took them from the examples that are online. This is based on backcredomatic information they have online. Programa de impulso al sector productivo. So we have several programs they have here available for people to come and ask for a loan. For example, Banca para el Desarrollo has this amount of money. right? To lend to companies, and this is the rate, 6.30%. Okay, that's the proposed amount of money they will charge of interest for the loan. It doesn't necessarily mean they're going to give you all this money, right? Hipotecas, they give you up to 40 million colones, and the rate it's 8.20. That's the one right now. And the proposed one in dollars is 7%. Now, in prendario and leasing para vehículos de trabajo e híbridos. Híbridos means both of them. You're going to use them to work and to travel as well. And leasing means to rent. Okay, doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to buy the car, but you're going to rent the car. Okay, that's a leasing. Up to 5,000 million colones. And the rates, la propuesta es 9.75 en colones, pero actualmente va por 12.50. Okay. Now there are three that are labeled pymes, which is SME. Pyme Capital de Trabajo, Pyme Productivo, and Pymes Inversión give you up to 12,000 million colones. Up to, no es que tienen que sacar todo el monto, right? And there are three different rates. The most expensive one is Pymes Productivo. That is the current rate they're paid. La propuesta era esta, pero bueno, ya ven que van por ahí arriba ahora. This information was taken before the crisis. It is most likely to change after this crisis because the Ministry of Economy is up into this, and so is the Ministry of Planificación. They're working hard on this along with the Ministry of Health. Now let's go take a look at the pie charts of SMEs in Costa Rica. In Costa Rica, we have 14% are medium. The small has 12%, and look at the size of the micro. Look at the size of it. That's why I told you the micro, the one that have less than 5 people, the ones that have less than 5 people are the larger numbers here. You see? Micro companies, less than 5 people. Then they jump into the small and the medium. Number of employment generation in MSMEs. Generación de empleos de las pymes por sector. Remember, this information is in Spanish because I've been taking it from the ministries of a country, and therefore they're in Spanish. So let's go take a look at servicios. Servicios, it's the light blue one. We have the industry here. We have comercio here, and finally technology of information here. I believe this is growing now. This is back in 2012. And remember that technology of information is one of our estrellitas y ropitas de dominguear in Costa Rica. So this one's growing. And El Tecnológico is working very hard on the electronic department in order to create several great things. So yeah, 7% was back in 2012, but it's been 8 years and probably it's a larger number now. Servicios is a 39% because basically it's the easiest. I would give you a service and I don't have to produce something, a prototype, and sell it, okay? Now let's go take a look at the different sectors that we have based on the number of people they work. Here are the companies that export, empresas exportadoras encuestadas, okay? This is the number of people they asked, and this is the categories they fall into. Población total de empresas exportadoras costarricenses. The ones that export are 23% micro, less than 5 people. And then pymes is the red one, the small companies. And the big companies just export 20% of the country. That's why the pymes are so important. They might be small, but they're too many. So all of them combined make larger numbers. Now let's see who supports the SMEs, who gives support to the pymes, okay? ¿Quién apoya las pymes? So we have 22% according to the people who they surveyed. Remember, these people, they made this survey to all these people. According to them, 22% is the support they get from the government, or 22% of the numbers say the government is supporting them. And then la empresa privada is 33% that supports them, and 45% say nobody helps them. This is the number of the surveys they made and the percentage they represent. Tasas de interés que le han brindado. This is the funny part, okay? You're going to take a look at the numbers they say here. Las tasas de un 5 a un 10%, they say 102 people say they get offered these rates, which is a larger number, 51%, almost more than a half, okay? 51%. Now, 21% of them say they were offered from 11 to 15%, and only 28%, which is 56, say they were offered more than 15%. Remember, we're looking for the lower rates. So it's good to know that the PMEs or the SMEs are saying that they were offered, or most of them, more than half of them, are saying that they were offered the smallest numbers when it comes to rates. Now we're going to take a look at the exportaciones based on the pymes or SMEs based on the places they're going. Where are the SMEs exporting their products to? This information was taken back from 2018 Procomer, and they were exporting to the United States of America, 31% of them. They were also exporting to Central America, 37% of them. The Unión Europea, 13%, and the Caribbean, 7%. Other countries combined, 12%. Okay. La tasa de desempleo in our country, and this one was before, again, this one was before the crisis that the coronavirus created, okay? This was taken before that time. So let's see, for example, we are in Cartago. So we are in the Gran Área Metropolitana, 9.4%. Look at the worst scenario, Chorotega, this one, in Guanacaste, 13.9% of unemployment. And la región central is the one that represents, that has less numbers of people unemployed. However, you may say 9%, it's a low number, but it's not. Whoever doesn't have a job is someone who is not able to support his or her family and is less income at home, and therefore they have to make decisions, hard decisions. So these numbers are unacceptable. We should not be seeing numbers like this in this chart. There is no acceptable number in here. Unfortunately, they're very high. These are the type of companies that support pymes or SMEs. There is an Expo Pyme, which is very cool, and they get a lot of, it's like when you go to Expo Car or you go to places where you're able to see every single company. Well, they are organized and sponsored by them, and you're able to go and see everything that this country is creating. If you are a SME, you have to enroll. Procomer will see you, and they will invite you to the Expo Pyme. So all of us are sponsors and organizers, and you get to go sell your products and your ideas and your services. It's very, very cool, this Expo Pyme. Now I'm going to show you the 4 stamps of Pyme Costa Rica. Sello Pyme con valor agregado. We have Pyme Costa Rica Calidad, which is this one, and it's because they are recognized in this quality certificates, okay? And it says Norma Pyme, these numbers, and then o cualquier norma de gestión de calidad vigente. Remember, they are 4, and based on the color, it means what type of sello you have. It's like when you see rainforest, there's a one about a little frog that it says rainforest. I can't remember right now. It's like Esencial Costa Rica. It's a stamp, and it means something, okay? Let's go check the second one. Sello Pyme Verde. It means that they are carbono neutral based on these norms, okay? They were evaluated and they got Sello Pyme Verde. We have Sello Pyme RSE, which is Responsabilidad Social Empresarial. I immediately thought of, what is the name of this company that is located in Bolsa Nacional de Valores, the same building? I'll remember soon. Sello Pyme RSE, which is Responsabilidad Social Empresarial, and Sello Pyme Artesanal, which they comply with these normas, with these PMEs normas, and they say el reconocimiento de que los productos son artesanales según los criterios de la UNESCO para la artesanía verificado por la DG PYME. You get the red one. Now we're almost done. This is an example of a training that they give to the small companies in Costa Rica. El Ministerio de Economía, Industria y Comercio y el Ministerio de Salud le invitan a la charla Trámites ante el Ministerio de Salud para abrir y operar un negocio. Expositores, funcionarios del Ministerio de Salud en oficinas centrales, contenidos, permisos de funcionamiento. Very, very important. You seriously need to know how to do these papers. Registro sanitario de productos, alimentos, cosméticos, productos naturales, entre otros. Sistema Regístrelo, which is like the software they use in order for you to enter the information. Requisitos y costos. It was a long time ago, by the way. It was Wednesday, July the 26th. From 9 to 11:30. It was in Sabana Sur and you had to enroll here and it was totally free. I brought this into the presentation so that you can understand that if you have an idea, you want to open up your business, you are not alone. You can actually go online and get some training. Get some help and be advised on how to do this. You don't necessarily have to pay for people to do these things for you. You're learning in high school. I'm showing you how to create invoices. I'm showing you how to create declaraciones. I'm teaching you how to save your money. I'm teaching you how to make cash flows. You have to grow ideas, remember? It's okay to learn how to ride a bike in someone else's bike. It's okay to go and work for large companies. And many people live with it the rest of their lives. And it's great. It's a choice they make and it's great. But if you can open up your business, if you have an idea, become the owner of a company. Give employment to other people and have employees and feed other people's and other families, okay? This one is Gestión Financiera MIPYMES, módulos que incluye el programa. This was from INA. Okay, this one was from Procomer and Ministerio de Economía, Industria y Comercio, Ministerio de Salud, and this one is from INA. So I'm going to show you this one. It was a class. It was like some sort of you get a certificate and stuff. Gestión Financiera MIPYMES. Módulos que incluye el programa. Punto de equilibrio y toma de decisiones. Super important. You need to know the balance point. You need to know at what point you start making money and what point you start losing money. Técnicas de presupuesto, formulación de estados financieros. Guys, you know all this. I'm teaching you all this. Interpretación de la información financiera. Controles contables y financieros. Look, people who do not go through high school, people who are not in my class, they're not learning these things. They're able to learn it from INA. How great is that? Now they get trained as a technician. Requisitos. Look at the requisites. Ser propietario o ya laborar en una pyme. Tienen que presentar la constancia. Mayor de 15 años. Copia y original del título de sexto. It's great. It's simply great. Original y cédula de identidad o residencia. Y participar en el proceso de conformación de grupo. This one is the hard one. There are so many people that require assistance that it's very hard to get in. Now, this is the amount of hours they are going to study, 116 hours, and these were the dates. From September the 12th, 2018 to April the 5th, 2019. This was the schedule. It was night shift. Why night shift? Because they're working day shift, right? Most of them, not all of them, but most of them. And it was in Heredia. Okay. This is the type of information I'm telling you. There are agreements. There are things you can do and reach out for help. This was information I recently found in BAC. And it says, Fortalecimiento Empresarial PYME. All this information class was taken before the crisis, okay? So most of this information might be more updated now, 2020. Fortalecimiento empresarial PYME, prosperidad PYME, motor del crecimiento económico inclusivo en la región. Las PYME cumplen un papel fundamental para la creación de empleo y el crecimiento económico inclusivo en cualquier región. Desde inicios del 2008, en BAC Credomatic hemos avanzado en la atención integral a este sector. Les brindamos productos y servicios desarrollados a la medida de sus necesidades que les permiten vincularse exitosamente al mercado, adoptar prácticas más sostenibles y crecer sostenidamente. Now they give us a number of customers that have already taken advantage of this program, and it says 190,097 customers en nuestra cartera PYME. You have to be certified in order to become that. You cannot just jump in and say, yo soy PYME, and that's it. They enroll you. That doesn't work like that. And now they're going to give us some information based on every country. This is back in 2016, okay? Distribución de clientes PYME por país. Remember, back is present in many countries. So they're able to make a comparison between countries, okay? This is the number of pymes enrolled with them based on every country. And look at Costa Rica. Costa Rica has a 35% of all the customers they have, pymes, are in Costa Rica. And the one that has less pymes enrolled is Panama. Now, here we have the same numbers that are going to create this chart. Distribución del empleo total según tamaño. So based on this, the pymes are here. Look at all the numbers. Las grandes dan este tipo de empleo, el 66% de los empleos. This is a comparison between 2012 and 2013. They actually, otros. I would like to know what these others was, but they don't look pretty good, right? Look at the pymes. In 2012, it was 26% out of all the employment they had, and they decreased by 2 points. And you might say 2 points is nothing. 2 points is a lot. 2 points might be 100,000 jobs. So it depends on the numbers, the gross numbers, the absolute numbers. Now, this is another company. This is a private institution. This is not government that assists the pymes. They also have a video here. Let me see this video. Let's take a look at the video. Oh, yeah, this is a presentation. Let me go take a look at the link I put here. And let's go take a look at the video they have. It's very nice. I'll remove the microphone